Well, hello, fellow constitutionalists, and welcome to this video today. I, I really hate having to make these type of videos here. I have a couple video clips. One is Dr. Ben Carson talking about the future of American education, which leads into the second video that we're going to talk about, and it's about the article's name is "The Sad Collapse and Corruption of Disney's Woke World," and it just it never ends, folks. It just with these people, it just never ends, and it just amazes me how woke these people are. I mean, just woke. And I'm going to make some comments at the end of the video here, of the two videos here, about some of my feelings about it, I guess, or my you know just my thoughts, my 2 cents worth, if you would please. I do have my rights don't end where your feelings begin T-shirt on today, and I do have. I wear that quite a bit, and a lot of people like this T-shirt. They really do. I can't remember. I got it off of a site that I get on. I get tweets from or messages from, not tweets, but on my cell phone. And so I get, if they hit me, and I get these for like $7 a piece. My rights don't end where your feelings begin. So there you go, folks. So I have that on, and hopefully, um, hopefully you like the new graphics that I got on. I said this before. I put these up, and so I have these new graphics that I actually show, and I just trying to make it look a little bit better for you folks. But let's jump into this, okay? I'm going to read something that Ben Carson said, and then we're going to go into the clip the video clip that he had at the Standing for Freedom Center interview at CPAC this year. And I think you're going to find this very, very enlightening. And just wait just a second. I gotta add a audio input capture. I got to get the mixer going here. Okay, and then I gotta set. Bear with me. I forgot to do this before the show, so I'm gonna fade over here, and then I'm gonna get the mixer going on it. Okay, it seems like it's going good now. Okay, Ben Carson said progressives understand the value of educating your children according to their leftist ideologies. That's why they fight so hard to keep parents out of their children's education. If they can't educate an entire generation according to their worldview, they cement their poisonous, malicious view rather or further into our society. We must respond by becoming more involved in the lives and the education of our children, and ousting anybody who would stand in the way of letting parents raise their children correctly. And this is Ben Carson. And basically, the reason this came up was because of the bill that was passed. And I'll put a link to the bill in down in Florida in the show notes. That'll be in the video down below. But the woke left kept calling it "Don't Say Gay" bill. And that's not what it was. What the bill is a parental rights bill that the parents have to be notified of this curriculum, and it's not to be taught this agenda about sexual orientation, the LGBTQ, etc. agenda to kindergarten to 3-year-olds. And to be quite honest with you, and Christy Alley, I listen to her on Glenn Beck on Blaze TV, and I have a radio app when I'm driving. I'll listen to that also. But she said anybody that would want to teach, 5 to 9-year-olds, about sexual orientation and stuff like that, is either a pervert or a predator. I say amen. That's exactly what they are. They're perverted. There's no reason to be teaching kids that young about anything like that. The only reason why the woke left does it is to indoctrinate them, because and this is this is something I got into a discussion with a guy on Facebook. He's one of these. He's a young guy. I don't know if he took college or not, but he thinks he knows everything, and he was trying to bully me in a thread. And I'm like, you're bullying the wrong guy. I'm not buying into your propaganda, and I'm just not giving into it. Because him and another lady were talking about, well, that's the Don't Say Gay bill. I said, well, you didn't read it then, because that's not what it is. It's a parental rights bill that parents, in my view, in my opinion, parents have the absolute right and responsibility and obligation to govern what their children are taught in school. My wife told me today, she goes, if we still had kids and this was going on, I'd homeschool them. Her and I would be homeschooling them. And that's exactly right. That's exactly what we would be doing. We'd be homeschooling them, all this garbage you're putting in. And the reason why they do this, folks, and this is one of the notes I have down here, is if they don't indoctrinate the young, or even some of the older kids, like when you get in adolescence and your body's changing, hormones are flowing, and you're really questioning about who and what you are, that's when they really dig in their hooks. And if they didn't indoctrinate young adults and young children like this, their numbers would be dwindling. They're still only 3 to 4% of the whole population. And yet they act, if you watch TV, if you watch movies, listen to the news. This video clip I have from LaToya Ravenue, she's an executive producer at Disney. 50% of the content I put out is got a gay twist to it, and I'm like, unreal. So we're dropped, or I haven't got to it yet today, but we're discontinuing. We have Disney Plus on TV because they bought Star Wars up and other stuff that Marvel that we like to watch. And now, I told Lori, I said, well, we just have to go to other outlets. I know they still get a cut of it, but at least we won't be feeding into the beast, as it were. So, and if it wasn't for them indoctrinating, get back to my point, they would be shrinking and they'd be going away. So listen to this clip. It's a really good clip at CPAC, and I like Dr. Ben Carson, that very intelligent man, and his wife. And he talks about a book that they're putting out, and I'm keeping my eye out for that. So give this a listen real quick here.
Finally, I think about the Little Patriots project that you've put together. How important is it to start young, to teach the foundations?
Absolutely critical. And people have recognized that long before now. You go back to the Bible, Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he'll not depart from it. You look at Vladimir Lenin, Marxist. He said, give me your children to teach for 4 years, and the seed that I sow will never be uprooted. So they know what they're doing as they're trying to indoctrinate our kids, and we have to be just as aggressive in making sure that our children actually understand the values and principles that created a wonderful nation, our faith, liberty, community, and life. And those cornerstone principles allowed us to go from a ragtag bunch of militiamen to the pinnacle of the world. It was not a coincidence. And if we throw them away, we will deteriorate just as quickly.
Wow. Very well said. Dr. Ben Carson, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Keep up the great work.
All right, and that is what he was saying there was wonderful. The quotes out of the Bible, and when he quoted Lenin about you give me children or Karl Marx or Lenin, I can't remember which one he said there right now. Give me 4 years with them, and I'll sow the seeds for their lifetime. And this, folks, is exactly what's going on in our society today. All these cultural Marxists, and people don't like that term sometimes, and I really don't care. You can call them cultural Marxists, cultural communists, cultural fascists. I think an umbrella term would be a cultural authoritarians, because they want to be in power. This bill in Florida has enraged Disney and their workers and stuff, and it's enraged the woke left, that how dare parents be given or protect their rights protected under law, that they get to decide what their kids are taught and not taught, especially when it comes to sexual orientation or the subject of sex at all. That they're mad about that because that's one more piece they're losing control. I think Governor Ron DeSantis is doing a fantastic job down in Florida. And matter of fact, I was reading the other day. I don't have the article, but I wasn't reading. I heard about it on the radio where Disney has special tax benefits, and they have their own police force and their own fire department there, but their tax, the counties sort of suffer around them by not getting the revenue from Disney, and they've had this thing since before Disney World was built. And Governor DeSantis is talking to the legislature about possibly revoking that tax status and making them pay their county taxes there to help the communities around them there. And so there's a lot of things that the governor can do. There absolutely is. So this article here that we're talking about with Walt Disney, it's an opinion piece by Paul Batura in Life News. It was posted yesterday, the 31st, and it's called "The Sad Collapse and Corruption of Disney's Woke World." And I just went in and got a few things out of there that I was interested in seeing. So this is what we have here. Sitting behind his wooden desk inside his Burbank-based Suite 3H office back in 1961, Walt Elias Disney, the founder and chairman of the burgeoning company bearing his name, was asked if he could share the formula for the empire's wild success. "I don't really know," he said. "I guess I'm an optimist. I'm not in the business to make unhappy pictures. I love comedy too much. I've always loved comedy. Another thing maybe because I can still be amazed at the wonders of the world." And I'm going to stop reading there for a second, folks. I love the old Walt Disney movies and the old Walt Disney TV shows before everything became woke. They were fantastic. They were family friendly, and they were wholesome, and they were funny. They were absolutely funny. And he goes on to say, the article goes on to say, like I said, let's see, within 5 years, Walt Disney would be dead, never living to see the opening of the company's second park and resort in Orlando. At the time of his death in December of 1966, Walt's shoestring empire, born after a series of failures, was valued at $100 million. As of last year, the company's revenues exceeded $67 billion. But all that glitter is not gold, and the true health of the company is not only calculated in dollars, but how it helps or hurts the people it serves. On that score, few companies have fallen as far as the once wonderful world of Disney, which is anything but wonderful today. Footage of a leaked company-wide Zoom call confirms Disney's desire to embrace an agenda that deliberately and blatantly rejects a Christian worldview of the family as well as God's view of human sexuality. The meeting was held in response to the Florida legislature's passage and the Governor Ron DeSantis signing of HB 1557, a bill that prohibits state teachers from introducing or pushing LGBTQ, etc., I put that in there, topics on children in kindergarten through the third grade. Critics of the legislation, along with willing accomplices in the press, have erroneously and deceptively and deceitfully labeled it as the Don't Say Gay bill. And I'm going to stop the reading there for a second. That's why I was talking to this guy on my Facebook thread. Him and this other woman was calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. And he told me he didn't even read it. Oh, I live in Texas. I'm not really interested. So I'm like, so you didn't read it, but you feel informed enough to comment on it. And the thread went on for a while. And I just quit responding because the guy was, to me, he was just crazy. Just flat out crazy. I'll finish up here. The Disney brand was once so beloved and ubiquitous in the world that the name Mickey Mouse was used as the password for entrance into Allied Supreme headquarters in Europe on D-Day in 1944. Disneyland will never be complete completed as long as there is imagination left in the world, Walt Disney once said. Tragically, God's gift of imagination has been deeply corrupted in this case, bringing to mind the words and warning of the Apostle Paul to his believers in Rome. And this is Romans chapter 1, verse 28. And since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, he wrote, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. And that's out of that article. Like I said, I have a link to that article in the down below there. And it just, again, I just want to reiterate, these people need to indoctrinate our children. I've never been to Disney World, never been to Disneyland. We probably could have afforded it at one time when our kids were a little bit smaller and I was driving truck. But even if we could afford it, the enormous amount of money to go down there to there. We've had friends that had two children like we've had. We probably wouldn't have taken Deanna down, our special needs daughter, although we might have. But let's say all four of us went down. You know, we've had friends who went down there and said it cost them between $2,000 and $3,000 to stay down there. Hotel, food, admission to the park. You can get package deals and stuff, but it was north of $2,000. And Lori and I, my wife and I, were kind of on the frugal side, and we're like, no, that's just too much money for a vacation. And so we just never did. And not that I'm glad we never did. I would love to have been there before it all went woke. I really would have. And I hope someday, and my prayer is that it'll get unwoke. And I honestly, I think, you know, the board members and the shareholders in Disney, once they see that the value of Disney, which I heard on the radio today, is already dropping because of this. Once they get it through their heads that they're losing money because of this wokeness, they're either going to do one or two things. Either they're going to try to change it, and if they can't, they'll just, like the investors, will just divest themselves, and Disney World and Disneyland, the whole Disney empire, will collapse, and it'll go bankrupt. It'll definitely go bankrupt. Now, I got this last video. Now, like I said, this is from executive producer LaToya Raveneau, Raveneau. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Raveneau, Raveneau. But anyway, she talks about implementing her not at all secret gay agenda, and this folks just sickens me. And she doesn't get vulgar, but just her ideas and how she is happy about it. You know, that she's able to do this. Oh my, it's such a good thing. Not so much. Give this a listen, folks.
It's like, I love Disney's content. I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, oh, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard. On my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they are turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background to start, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm Proud Family. But I just was no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
No one would stop me. No one was trying to stop me. I wish they had. I really do. Did you see how happy she was about that? About pushing the gay agenda, the LGBTQ, etc. agenda on kids and stuff. Matter of fact, they're actually going through training. There's a couple. If you go to the show notes and links down below the video here, There's a New York Post article. It says Disney execs cop to advancing gay agenda by adding queerness to shows. They talked a little bit in there about how they're not going to say ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls anymore. They're training their characters and their greeters and everything, the employees, not to say that. It's going to be a non-gender specific way of greeting folks. Folks, and this is what burns me up, because I was into Boy Scouts. I was into Boy Scouts since I was like, since I was a Cub Scout, and through the Navy years and my early truck driving years, I was out of it, and then I got back in as an assistant scoutmaster, and then I was a scoutmaster for a while, and then I was a den chief for a while, until this whole gay agenda poisoned the well at Boy Scouts. And we were chartered by a group, Churches of Christ for Scouting, and I informed them that we can no longer be associated with the Boy Scouts as a Christian, with the agenda that they're pushing. The LGBTQ community came in and ruined a lot of that, and now there's been a big pushback on that. The Boy Scouts are still here, but there's another Christian group called Trail of Life or something like that. And anyway, they try to take things over. It's just like vegans, trying to take over Burger King or McDonald's instead of starting up their own restaurants. The LGBTQ, etc. community could never have built something like Walt Disney, Disney World or Disneyland. They could have never built it with their agenda. So what do? They come in and destroy the wholesomeness of something like Disney and bring it down to the gutters to push their, in my mind, in my opinion, their evil, authoritarian way of thinking. This has been the Dan Clements Show. I'm your host, Dan Clements, your constitutional warrior. Remember, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. We'll see you on the next video.